Slender Man. Slender Man is the most recognizable monster. Born from creepypasta culture, he is an unnaturally tall humanoid, faceless, thin to the point of looking skeletal, and always dressed in a black suit. His limbs are not bound by human anatomy, stretching into grotesque proportions whenever he wishes. Sometimes long black tentacles grow out of his back, twitching and curling as if alive. The unsettling part is his silence. He never speaks, never makes a sound, and yet his presence fills the air with static and unease. He's tied to forests, abandoned playgrounds, and forgotten suburban streets where children go missing. Stories describe him as stalking kids for days or weeks, standing silently in the distance before appearing closer each time. Victims report paranoia, memory loss, and hallucinations before they vanish entirely. Some believe Slender Man does not simply abduct, but warps the human mind into submission, erasing identity until the victim is nothing but an empty shell. His mythos spread far beyond the original posts. Found footage style videos, especially Marble Hornets, transformed him into a full-scale urban legend. Players encountered him in the infamous game Slender, the 8 Pages, where his faceless shape stalks the player relentlessly. He represents the fear of being watched, of losing autonomy, of being taken into the woods by a figure who has no eyes but sees everything. Jeff the Killer. Jeff the Killer is the story of innocence turned to madness. Originally, Jeff was an ordinary boy, bullied and humiliated. After a violent altercation and a fire that left his face horribly scarred, he looked into the mirror and saw not a victim, but a predator. His eyelids were burned away, leaving his eyes wide and staring forever. He carved a grotesque smile into his cheeks so he could always smile. His appearance is a pale face framed by greasy black hair, staring eyes, and that permanent bloody grin. The horrifying part of Jeff's mythos is his transformation into a remorseless killer. He enters homes in the middle of the night, creeping into bedrooms. When his victims awaken, the last thing they hear is his catchphrase whispered from the shadows: "Go to sleep." His story is often described from the perspective of those who never survived to tell it. Jeff became one of the most viral creepypasta figures. Artwork, cosplay, and fan stories flooded the internet. People debated whether he is truly insane or whether something supernatural took over when he looked in the mirror for the first time after the fire. Unlike many monsters, Jeff is human, or at least he once was. That makes him more unsettling. He's proof that sometimes monsters are made, not born, and that the human mind can be more frightening than any otherworldly being. The Rake. The Rake is not a killer clown or a cursed human. It is a creature, an entity with no explanation, no logic, and no mercy. Descriptions vary slightly, but the image is always the same: a pale, emaciated humanoid, completely hairless, with hollow black eyes. It crawls on all fours like a starving animal, but when it wants to, it can move with blinding speed. One of the most chilling accounts describes waking in the middle of the night to find the Rake perched at the end of the bed, staring in silence. It watches for hours, unmoving, as though studying its prey. Sometimes it whispers unintelligible words. Other times it just stares. By the time its victims realize what they're seeing, it's too late. The Rake does not always kill immediately. Sometimes it leaves, letting paranoia eat at the victim before returning later to finish the job. Reports of the Rake claim it has appeared for centuries, like a recurring nightmare woven through folklore. Modern accounts spread online, with people insisting they've seen it in their homes, outside their windows, or crouched on highways at night. The lack of motive makes the Rake so disturbing. It does not kill for hunger, vengeance, or reason. It kills because it exists. Smile Dog. Smile Dog is less of a creature and more of a curse. The story begins with a single image file, often called smile.jpg. At first glance, it is a distorted photo of a dog, but then you notice the grin, wide, human-like, stretching impossibly across its snout. The teeth are jagged and too many. The eyes glow with malice. People who view the image are plagued with nightmares. They dream of the dog whispering to them, begging them to spread the word. Victims suffer paranoia, hallucinations, and eventually full-blown insanity. Some take their own lives to escape it. The only way to end the torment is to share the image with another person, passing the curse along like a digital infection. Smile Dog symbolizes the horror of the internet itself. A single picture, just a few pixels on a screen, can destroy lives. It reminds us how fragile the human mind can be when exposed to things it was never meant to see. While other monsters can be escaped by running, hiding, or fighting back, Smile Dog proves unavoidable. Once you've seen the grin, it never leaves you. Eyeless Jack. Eyeless Jack is an urban legend in the truest sense. He's usually described as a man in a black hoodie and a featureless blue mask with dark holes where his eyes should be. He's called eyeless, not because his eyes are missing, but because his victims' eyes often are. The legend says that Jack breaks into homes at night, climbing onto his victims as they sleep. When they awaken, they feel a sharp pain, and by the time they realize what's happening, they are already dying. Jack is known for surgically removing organs, livers, kidneys, even eyes, and devouring them. Victims are left dismembered in their beds, surrounded by pools of blood, with no sound of forced entry and no evidence of tools. What makes Eyeless Jack terrifying is his precision. He isn't mindlessly violent like Jeff the Killer or chaotic like the Rake. He operates like a surgeon, calm and calculating, calculated. His motives are never explained. Is he a man cursed to feed on organs, or is he a demon wearing human form? No one knows, and the mask ensures no one ever will. Ben Drowned. Ben Drowned is the ghost of a boy trapped inside a video game cartridge. The story began with a player buying a copy of The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. At first, everything seemed normal, until the game began to glitch in ways that defied explanation. Characters stared at the player. Text boxes appeared with messages like, "You shouldn't have done that." Music warped, environments distorted, and eventually the player realized they were being haunted by Ben. Ben appears as the game's protagonist, Link, but with lifeless, hollow eyes and a chilling grin. The haunting extended beyond the cartridge itself. He was able to influence the player's computer, files, and even reality itself. Ben represents the fear of cursed technology, of our digital lives becoming infected by something beyond control. His story blurred the line between fiction and reality, with YouTube videos and forum posts presented as evidence of his haunting. Unlike other creepypasta creatures, Ben was not confined to words on a screen. He invaded the digital world of his audience, making the story feel dangerously real. Laughing Jack. Laughing Jack begins as an imaginary friend conjured by lonely children. He is colorful, fun, and mischievous. At first, he brings joy, but the longer he lingers, the darker he becomes. His bright carnival colors drain into black and white stripes. His laughter shifts from playful to sadistic. Eventually, he reveals his true self, a twisted, clown-like demon who delights in torture. Victims of Laughing Jack often describe strange circus music in their homes, candy left behind that tastes like rot, and toys arranged in grotesque ways. By the time parents realize something is wrong, their children are already lost, brutally murdered by the very friend they trusted. What makes Laughing Jack disturbing is the betrayal. He is not a random monster lurking in shadows. He is welcomed into a child's life, trusted completely, and then turns that trust into terror. He represents corrupted innocence, the idea that what children believe is imaginary may not only be real, but malevolent. Candle Cove. Candle Cove is different from the others. It is not a creature, but a shared memory of a children's TV show. People recall watching it in the 1970s, a bizarre puppet show featuring unsettling characters like Pirate Percy and the Skin Taker. The Skin Taker, in particular, is horrifying. A puppet with glass eyes and teeth made of human bones who whispers about wearing children's skin like clothing. The most terrifying twist is the revelation that Candle Cove never actually existed. Parents claimed their children were not watching TV at all, but sitting in front of static, staring for hours. The idea is that the show was not broadcast, but somehow implanted directly into the minds of its viewers. Candle Cove represents collective hallucination and the fragility of memory. It asks, how much of what we remember from childhood is real, and how much is implanted nightmares we carry into adulthood? The Skin Taker is not a physical monster. It is a phantom of memory, but that makes it all the more powerful. The Smiling Man. The Smiling Man is the embodiment of being followed at night. The story tells of a man walking home alone, only to notice another figure in the distance. This figure dances strangely, jerking unnaturally, stopping and starting as though mocking human movement, and always his smile stretches impossibly wide. No words are exchanged. The Smiling Man simply follows, always keeping just enough distance to keep the victim on edge, sometimes sprinting forward in a burst of energy only to stop again. The encounter ends not with an attack, but with the overwhelming terror of knowing you are being hunted by something that chose not to strike. The Smiling Man is terrifying precisely because he does nothing. He represents pure, irrational menace, the fear of being alone in the dark, of realizing someone or something is behind you, and of not knowing why. Zalgo. Zalgo is not a monster you can see or touch. Zalgo is corruption itself, the breaking of reality. He is often represented by corrupted text, glitching letters, dripping into nonsense, phrases like "he comes" hidden in online posts. Where Zalgo exists, sanity unravels. He is often depicted as a massive, multi-eyed, tentacled abomination, but his true form is unknowable. Zalgo is not one monster, but the end of all things. When he arrives, words lose meaning, images distort, and the world itself collapses into chaos. He is described as bringing death, madness, and eternal suffering. What makes Zalgo powerful is that he doesn't just destroy bodies, he destroys reality itself. While Jeff, Slender Man, and the Rake are predators of humans, Zalgo is the predator of existence. His presence online became a symbol for corrupted horror, text infected with his chaotic influence. Zalgo is apocalypse, chaos given form, and the reason people still fear the words "he comes."